The Terran Hall of Concord burned with synthetic light, and tension thickened the air like smoke. Delegates from every corner of the Allied Galactic Council gathered beneath the immense dome, glittering with constellations recreated in pixel-precise clarity overhead. This was Earth's first step into the stars, history, and Eli Dawn was already regretting it. He adjusted the collar of his regulation diplomat's coat and scowled at the shimmering envoy descending from the anti-grav shuttle. She stood taller than any human present, wrapped in pale silver robes that parted to reveal sleek blue skin, traced with glowing biolines that pulsed with every calculated breath. Selkara Virex, Lorindari Prime's high diplomatic commander, and, by reputation, a complete nightmare. Her white eyes slid across the room like they were scanning for germs. She barely acknowledged the president of Earth's Global Assembly. Her lips, full and iridescent, curled at the sight of the human delegation, Eli especially. He stepped forward and offered a hand. "Eli Dawn, I'll be your Terran liaison while you're planetside." She glanced at the hand like it was a dirty utensil. "You are male." Eli raised an eyebrow. "Last I checked, and unranked, a civilian. I have 5 medals in interspecies diplomacy, and I helped negotiate the Osari ceasefire." She arched a single elegant brow. "So, did a translation bot." Off to the side, one of the aides stifled a laugh. Eli lowered his hand, smirking despite himself. "This is going to be fun." Her tone didn't shift. "Fun is irrelevant. You will coordinate what I require and remain silent when I do not. That is your function." He leaned in, just enough for only her to hear. "I don't work for you, Lady Virex. I work with you." Her pale eyes flickered. She didn't speak, but the temperature in the room seemed to drop a few degrees. The war was over, but peace had its own battles. Over the following week, Eli learned 3 things about Selkara Virex. She hated Terran food. She refused to wear anything made on Earth. She believed human males were biologically unsuited for command. Every meeting became a sparring match. Every negotiation turned into a philosophical debate. She didn't yell, she dismissed. Her words sliced sharper than blades, but she listened to Eli sometimes. And when she did, something flickered in those glowing eyes of hers. Curiosity? Amusement? Or was it annoyance painted in elegance? "Your insistence on emotional logic is inefficient," she said during a particularly tense dinner in the UN orbital suite. "Our species evolved through empathy," Eli countered, stabbing at his hydroponic chicken. "That's why we're still here. Empathy is useful only in child-rearing and hostage negotiation." He looked up. "So you admit we're useful?" She blinked, slow. "No, I admit you're persistent." "Same thing where I'm from." She gave the barest twitch of a smile, just one corner of her mouth. But it haunted him for days. Their professional Cold War came to a crashing halt when the escort shuttle exploded mid-flight. One second they were reviewing habitat permits on the moon of Valisco. The next, the transport spiraled, burning into the ravine-streaked surface of a Class 3 planetary satellite. The last thing Eli remembered was her scream, so furious it didn't sound like fear, more like indignation that death would come without her permission. He woke up to smoke, blood, and blue hands slapping his face. "Dawn." He blinked. "You know my name. I know many irrelevant things. Your consciousness is not one of them." She was injured, gashed down her arm, her biolines flickering unevenly, but she refused to let him carry her. They stumbled together through jagged canyons and luminescent fog. She cursed Lorindari command in her native tongue, and Eli pretended not to find the sound strangely beautiful. "Rescue protocol will detect the distress beacon," she muttered, after they collapsed in a cavern near a hot spring. "We must stay alive until then." He made a fire from the emergency pack. She watched it like it was a foreign organism. "You people really like fire," she murmured. "It's kind of a thing." She stared at the flames. I once thought you're kind. We're barely above livestock, Eli exhaled. I'm guessing I've moved up the list? Only slightly, then silence. Night passed. Hunger gnawed. Injuries healed slowly, but the isolation peeled back something raw between them. On the fourth day, as wind howled and Eli shivered in his sleep roll, she laid beside him without a word. Her body was warmer than any blanket. I have no romantic intention, she said stiffly. I wasn't expecting candlelight, Eli whispered, but neither moved away. By the seventh day, their arguments had become private jokes. She teased him about Terran customs. He mocked her formality. When she injured her foot on a stone needleworm, he carried her for miles, and she didn't argue. They reached an old survey beacon the same day their food rations ran out. The emergency signal pinged, and within hours, a retrieval team arrived. She said nothing during the return flight, not even a goodbye. Eli was sure it was over. He was wrong. 3 months later, she walked into the Earth United Council in a robe of moonlight and authority, looking exactly the same, except her expression was thunder and her belly was swollen. Eli stood up so fast he nearly knocked over the water carafe. You're pregnant? Her tone was glacial. You were the last genetic contributor prior to gestation. Probability exceeds 94%. I what? You never said your species could. You never asked. He blinked, stunned. So what now? You will be acknowledged in limited capacity, as dictated by the Lorindari diplomatic code. Oh, no, you don't get to play Queen of Cold and then drop a kid-shaped bomb on me like this. If I'm the father, I'm going to be in this. All the way. Her eyes narrowed. You presume to demand rights? I presume, Eli said, stepping closer, that if I can survive you for 9 days in a hostile wilderness, I can survive you for 9 months of co-parenting. Silence. Then she looked away. I did not plan this. Neither did I. Another beat. She turned her head slowly, pale lashes casting long shadows over her cheeks. There was something in her voice now, a fracture. I felt something. When you held me, when you looked at me like I was worth more than my station, I hated it, he nodded. I know, but I did not stop it. Eli's hand, cautiously, reached out. Neither did I. She didn't pull away. And for the first time since they met, her smile wasn't cold. It was real. Silkara did not know how to be fragile. Her culture scorned indulgence. On Lorindari Prime, weakness was a concept reserved for traitors and poets. And yet, in the quiet sanctum of the Terran medical compound orbiting Earth, she lay against crisp cotton sheets with a hand on her abdomen and felt utterly unmade. The biolines on her arms pulsed softly, not from pain, but from emotion. Conflicted, turbulent. She hated it. She hated how her body had changed. She hated how it refused to obey the efficiency she demanded. She hated most of all that Eli Dawn visited her every single day and did not flinch from what she had become. I brought nutritional soup, he said, stepping into the room with a lopsided grin and a flask from the orbital commissary. It's got protein and flavor allegedly. I require neither, she replied coolly, but I will accept it for the child. He smirked as he handed it to her. You mean our child. Her eyes flicked to him, sharp but not unkind. You never stop reminding me, he leaned back in the chair beside her cot, because you never stop pretending it's only your burden. It is my body, my species, my biology. You didn't seem to mind my biology when we were freezing to death on Valisco. That earned him the briefest flutter of amusement in her eyes. She sipped the soup without complaint. You're adjusting, Eli noted softly. I am surviving. Same thing most days. He reached for her hand, slow enough for her to pull away. She didn't. Her people were not pleased. The Lorindari Council sent a communique in cold glyphs. High Commander Virex is required to report to the Genesis Purity Board to address unauthorized interspecies conception. Selkara read it in silence, then set the tablet down, expression unreadable. Eli stepped beside her. Are they threatening to take the child? Not yet, she murmured, but they will. Unless I prove that this union was strategic, not sentimental. And what if it was sentimental? She turned, gaze fierce. Then they will deem me compromised, unfit to lead. The child will be reassigned, likely to a sterile hybrid program. Eli felt something cold claw through his chest. No, hell no. You're not doing this alone. I don't require your assistance, Dorn. He stepped closer. But you want it. Silence stretched. You presume too much, she whispered. Maybe. But I know you. His voice softened. Selkara, I know you. You act like you don't need anyone, but I've seen the way you touch your belly when you think no one's watching. The way you study Terran maternity records like they're enemy intel. You want this child, and I want you both safe. Her expression cracked, just for a heartbeat. Then the emergency alarm screamed. The orbital station shuddered. Red lights flared. Gravity flickered. Screams echoed in the corridor. Unidentified vessel decloaking in Quadrant 7, a voice called from the comms. They're not broadcasting friendlies. Repeat, shields up. Eli turned to Selkara. Her biolines surged. With sudden brilliance. Come, she barked, grabbing her robe and sliding a concealed plasma stave from beneath the medical cot. You're pregnant, Eli shouted. I'm Lorindari. The corridor tilted as a tremor rocked through the hull. Bulkheads sealed, cutting off sections of the living quarters. They ran through flickering light toward the command deck. Eli panting, Selkara moving. With lethal grace, despite her visible roundness. External visuals, she commanded the ensign. The screen revealed a black, serrated ship with no visible insignia. It hovered like a predator, alien even by galactic standards. That's not Council, Eli breathed. No, she said grimly. It's worse. It's Lorindari Purity Enforcement. Eli's blood ran cold. They didn't wait for permission. They're here for the child. A transmission crackled through. Selkara Virex. You are ordered to surrender for immediate purity extraction. The contaminant will be terminated. Submit. Eli's hand clenched into a fist. They're calling our baby a contaminant. Selkara's face was iron. Not today. The station wasn't built for combat. But Selkara was. She moved like light through the chaos, coordinating Terran security, disabling enemy breaches, and directing plasma turrets with precision. Eli trailed her, rallying diplomats and techs alike, ducking under panels and rerouting. Power from the hydrocore to the defense matrix. Through smoke and static, they fought together, leader and liaison, alien and man. Equal. The Purity Enforcers breached Hull Lock 5, tall, identical, genderless warriors in ivory armor. Their visors gleamed with green glow hate. Selkara met them at the corridor bend with a growl. This child is mine, she snarled, and no genetic code will define that but me. She spun her stave in a blur and launched into combat. Every strike she landed was calculated, elegant, lethal without overreach. Eli covered her flank with a repurposed welding torch, fending off an attacker who nearly pinned her from behind. Stay behind me, she shouted. You're in no shape to shield, he shouted back. I am always in shape to shield. Blood, fire, the stench of burning steel. Eventually, the remaining Purity warriors retreated to their ship. Scorched, scattered, defeated, Selkara stood in the corridor, chest heaving, blood trailing down one arm. Her belly glowed faintly, her biolines pulsing in a different rhythm now, softer. You're hurt, Eli gasped. I'm whole, she said, but leaned into him when he reached her. He helped her back to the medical bay, neither of them speaking. Only her fingers, gently tangled in his. She was confined to quarters after that. Medical necessity. He moved in. The scandal was instant. Half of the galactic subnets screamed mating scandal. The other half posted memes of Terran diplomats punching above their class. Selkara didn't care. Eli brought her food, books, warmth. They argued less now, or perhaps their arguments had become something else entirely, more like foreplay. "You still think humans are emotionally illogical?" he asked one night, settling into bed beside her. "I think humans are incorrigible," she replied. "And what about me?" She looked at him, quiet, full of storm. "You are uniquely tolerable." He smirked. "I'll take it." He reached for her hand again. This time she didn't just hold it. She laced their fingers and kissed him. The weeks passed. The child within her grew rapidly, hybrid traits accelerating development in ways no one expected. Terran doctors were baffled. Lorindari medics demanded access. Selkara refused both. "This child is not a specimen," she said. "It is ours." Eli watched her with awe as she transformed from diplomat to mother before his eyes, fierce and soft, armored and open. One night, as they lay beside each other, she whispered into the dark, "I fear I will not be enough." He reached for her face. "You are already more than I ever imagined." She trembled. "I want them to know joy, not just duty." "They will, because you know both." Silence. Then she pressed her forehead to his. For once, no words followed. But peace never lasted long. A new directive arrived from the Lorindari Council. Selkara Virex is ordered to return to Lorindari Prime for formal judgment. The child must be presented for classification and genetic partitioning. Eli slammed the tablet down. "No, we just stopped them from kidnapping the baby, and now they think they can put you both on trial?" "I have no choice." "Yes, you do. You always do." She shook her head, eyes heavy. "If I run, they will brand me as traitor. Our child will have no nation, no rights, no protection." He stared at her. "What if we go with you?" She blinked. "What?" "You don't. Face them alone. I stand beside you, not as a Terran, not as a diplomat, as your partner, as the father of our child." Selkara looked at him like he had just said the sun could freeze. Then she whispered, "You would risk your life for this?" "For you," he said, "and the child who didn't ask for any of this." A long breath escaped her lips. And it was surrender, not weakness, trust. "I must prepare," she said. "They will not welcome you. They may try to kill you." He reached for her again. "Let them try." Lorindari Prime was a city of glass and blade. From orbit, its surface shimmered like cut crystal, towers spearing the sky, roads threaded like veins of light. But beauty meant nothing here. This was a world built on purity, tradition, and power, and it had no mercy for deviation. Selkara stood at the threshold of the arrival chamber, dressed in ceremonial armor that left her throat bare. A symbol of vulnerability. It was tradition for the accused. Even her biolines dimmed beneath the steel-grey layers. Behind her, Eli stepped forward in a black diplomatic jacket. He bore no insignia, not Terran, not galactic, only a small silver ring at his collar. Hers. A symbol between them. No one else understood. "You're sure about this?" he whispered. "No," she replied honestly, "but I will not hide." The doors opened with a hiss, and the reckoning began. The council chamber was a brutal sphere of light and shadow. 10 elders loomed above, each encased in polished stone thrones. The central dais, raised and ringed in glyphs, awaited them like an executioner's block. Selkara stepped forward, posture rigid. Eli followed, drawing quiet murmurs from the gathered diplomats. A human male. Here, at judgment, the chief. Elder rose, her voice like cracked ice. "Selkara Virex, once High Commander, now unbonded traitor, you stand accused of biological impurity, unauthorized hybridization, and betrayal of your oath to the sovereign bloodlines." Selkara's voice was steady. "I have committed no betrayal. I carry life, sacred, living, formed by consent." "Consent?" another elder snapped. "With a Terran? All eyes turned to Eli. He met their gaze without flinching. "Yeah," he said. "With me." A ripple of anger surged through the chamber. "You stand on Lorindari's soil, abomination. Your presence insults the very genes we protect." Eli stepped forward. "If your genes are so fragile they break from a child, maybe you're protecting the wrong legacy." A hush. Then Selkara's voice, sharp and low. "Eli." He turned to her, saw her eyes, saw the storm behind them, the war she'd fought. For years, that he now stood in the middle of, he stepped back, not in fear, in trust. The elders recovered. "Then let the child speak," one said. "Let us see if it carries deviation. Present the offspring for classification." Selkara's fists clenched. "No!" A gasp. "You refuse the genetic presentation?" "Yes, because it is not yours to dissect. It is not a political artifact. It is not a threat. It is my child, and it will not be offered like prey to satisfy your fears. That is treason. Then brand me." The chief elder leaned forward. Her voice dropped to a chilling whisper. "You are not Lorindari anymore." Selkara stood straighter. "Then I am free." That night they were placed in diplomatic holding, not prison, but a cage nonetheless. No guards, just endless silence. Selkara sat in the center of the room, palms flat against the floor, her biolines flickering like dying stars. "I was born for that chamber," she said, raised to speak in their voice, to echo their judgment, to fight and bleed for their standards. And now, I am nothing to them. Eli sat beside her. "You're everything to me." She didn't look at him. Her voice was hollow. "I thought if I showed strength, they would remember me, see reason, but they didn't see me at all. They saw power, and they're afraid of it." She looked at him now, slowly, as if she hadn't realized he'd come so close. "I am afraid, Eli." "I'm not." She swallowed. "You should be." "Why?" "Because they threw you out, because they have nothing left to lose." He hesitated, then placed a hand over hers. "They've already lost. They just don't know it yet. They came for her at dawn, not with weapons, with a document, a legal writ etched in gold light. Denouncement accepted. Custodial rights forfeited. Hybrid to be reclaimed for clinical study." Eli read it twice before the blood drained from his face. "They mean to take the baby." Selkara stood silent. "You're not going to let them?" "I have no rank, no vote. They've stripped my legacy. Then we take the child and run, and be hunted. I don't care." She turned sharply. "And where would we go? The Alliance won't shelter us. The Empire already considers hybrids illegal, and Earth won't risk hosting us. They fear diplomatic fallout." He grabbed her shoulders. "Then we build a home. On some backwater moon, on an asteroid, I don't care, with our hands, with our lives, as long as we're together." Her voice broke. "Eli, no one gets to take our kid." "No one." Tears pricked her eyes. She hadn't cried in years. She cried now, but not for fear, for hope. They made their plan in silence. Selkara accessed forgotten back doors in the Lorindari medical registry. Eli rerouted power from the transit grid. They left just before second light, cloaked in heat-masking robes. The child nestled within a gravity-softened carrier close to Selkara's chest. She sang to it, a low tonal hum from her childhood. Something no one else would ever hear her do. Not even Eli dared to speak until the alarm shrieked. "They found us," she hissed. "They expected us. They ran through ancient tunnels beneath the city, once used for bloodless evacuations, now empty bones. The exit led to an atmospheric launch pad. Their only hope, but 3 purity guards waited. Selkara stepped forward, handing the carrier to Eli. "Run." "No. I won't fight carrying her. Please." His mouth opened, then closed. He nodded once, and ran. Selkara turned to face her past. The guards lifted their blades. She lifted hers. The fight was brutal. Not elegant, not choreographed. Her biolines burned like wildfire, blood dripping down her jaw, her thighs screaming from exertion. But she did not fall. She would not. Not this time. Behind her, the ship lifted. She collapsed only when the horizon split and light swallowed the platform whole. Eli held the child tightly as the small cruiser cut across the stars. His hands trembled, his mind screamed. But he didn't stop. The pilot, a smuggler friend from his diplomatic days, didn't ask questions. Just punched in coordinates for the Orellan Drift, where no laws reached and no registries mattered. "She'll make it," Eli whispered, mostly to himself. "She has to." The child stirred in his arms, eyes flickering open, bright blue but threaded with silver, both worlds, both parents, both futures. A low ping chimed from the console. He turned. A video feed flickered to life, static, and then resolution. Selkara bruised, burned, alive. "You didn't think I'd let you escape alone, did you?" she rasped. He let out a ragged breath, tears burning. "You stubborn, arrogant, incredible alien." She smiled, and for the first time in her life, not as a warrior, not as a commander, but as a mother, as a woman who had survived everything. She whispered, "I'm coming home." They called it Sector Dust, a ring of forgotten moons orbiting a dead star in a system no one claimed, where gravity was weak and the laws of sovereign empires didn't reach. It was perfect. 3 months had passed since they escaped. Selkara lay on the roof of the half-built shelter, eyes closed to the pale sky. The air smelled of burnt stone and distant ozone. Beneath her ribs, healing fractures pulsed like slow lightning, reminders of the fight she'd barely survived. But they didn't haunt her. Not anymore. "Hey." Eli's voice drifted from below. She rolled onto her side and looked down. He stood shirtless in the doorway, his hands white with dried plaster, baby sling across his chest. Their daughter peeked over the edge, curious and quiet-eyed. "You done brooding?" he asked, contemplating. "Same thing." He climbed the ladder, passed the child to her, and joined her under the pale twin suns. For a while, neither spoke. They just breathed. "She kicked again today," he murmured, looking out across the rocky fields. "She likes to do that when she knows I'm resting." She's her mother's daughter. Selkara glanced at him, and her father's stubbornness. They both smiled, tired, deep, real. Then Eli's tone shifted quiet. "She'll never know Lorindari." "No," Selkara replied. "She'll never walk under crystal towers, or train in a warrior school, or speak the old tongue in the open. No. And she'll be hunted, if she's found." "Yes." He turned to her. "Then what do we give her?" Selkara looked down at the infant in her arms. Soft skin, pale lashes, biolines just starting to glow, faint silver. Not Lorindari, not Terran, something new. "Not a name," she said. "Not a bloodline. We give her a world." "A world." Selkara nodded. "We build her a place where survival is not sacrifice, where her body is not a battleground, where she can become anything. No judgment, no empire, just choice." He swallowed hard. "I want that too." "Then we make it. Together." She met his eyes. "Always." The days passed like slow rivers. They built with scavenged materials, fused stone and alloy, patching walls with laughter and curses. Selkara taught Eli the rhythm of structural resonance. He taught her how to cook Terran-style stew without burning the pot. They carved solar arrays from crashed debris and raised antennae for distant weather scans, and the child grew. She laughed with her mother's sharp cadence. She gripped tools with her father's stubborn fists. She didn't cry much, but when she did, both parents came running. They named her Isil, a blend of their words. It meant wild bloom. One night, lightning rolled across the horizon. The rain came down in sheets, hammering the roof like war drums. Selkara stood, In the doorway, soaked to the skin, staring out into the storm, Eli came up behind her holding a towel. "She asleep?" "Like stone," he said. "She didn't move. They won't stop looking, you know. I know. If the sovereign purists find this place, they won't. They scan for power surges. We're dark. But eventually, someone will sniff out the hybrid signature." Selkara nodded. "Yes," he took a breath. "So what do we do?" She turned to him. Lightning lit the edges of her face, warrior-boned, fire-eyed, beautiful and quiet. "We teach her," he frowned. "Teach her what?" "To fight." He exhaled. "You train her in Lorendari combat? And Terran tactics, and off-grid, survival, and hacking, and diplomacy, and camouflage, and ancient war songs, and quantum encryption. She'll be a storm with a human heart." Eli grinned, wet hair clinging to his temples. "I love you." She blinked. "You do?" "You're the most terrifying, brilliant thing in this system." She stepped forward, kissed him slow and deep, rain pouring over them. "I love you too," she said. "And I'm sorry it took exile to say it." "I'm not," he said. "I just wish we had hot water." She laughed, low and rough. "Then let's fix that tomorrow." They made their life one breath at a time. Eli repaired a hydroponics lab with parts from 3 different ships. Selkara hunted with a plasma bow and trained Aesel in stealth by age 2. They danced to old Terran music at night, made love on the workbench, fought over circuit boards, and held each other close when the stars pulsed strange. Occasionally a ship passed near the system. They'd go silent, cold, but no one came. Until the 4th year, when a message pinged across the long-range band to Selkara Virex, coordinates verified. "We carry no flag. We seek no vengeance. We seek asylum." The shuttle was sleek, scarred, old. When it landed, Selkara stood at the edge of their outpost, blade at her side, eyes narrowed. Eli stood behind her, Aesel now 4 and holding his hand. The doors hissed. Out stepped a Lorendari male and a Terran woman. Behind them 2 others. And behind them a small child with silver-touched skin. Selkara's breath caught. The woman stepped forward. "You were right," she said. "They only care about bloodlines. Not love. Not truth." Eli murmured, stunned. "They followed us." Selkara looked down at her daughter, then up again. "No," she said, "they joined us. In time, the outpost grew. 1 home became 10. 1 child became 7. They farmed, they trained, they wrote new laws. They told stories in both tongues. They took no oath but their own. They defended their skies and opened their arms to any who came in peace. They called the settlement Cern Vale, the place between stars, and at the heart of it, Selkara and Eli stood together, not heroes, not rulers, just survivors who dared to build something better. One night, as Aesel slept, Eli watched Selkara trace star paths on the roof, mapping new constellations. He asked, "Do you miss it?" She said, "No." He asked, "Would you change anything?" She looked at him, at the place they had built, at the daughter, who now dreamed without fear, and she whispered, "Not a single thing."